Insider.com. Thank you very much for joining me. As we just learned, Nick Saban has tested positive for COVID-19. Want to get your calls and kind of talk about what this means going forward. And we just posted Nick Saban's press conference that you can check out now on our YouTube channel. I'll have some of that right now as well. Call online is 205-850-0883. Kind of from listening to Nick Saban and kind of everything that he had to say, it looks like this game is going to go forward. I want to take your calls, and we got our first caller on the line. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Mike from Jacksonville. How you doing, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Thank you very much for calling in. What are kind of your thoughts? I mean, it's the biggest news in the country right now, or at least for college football. So go ahead. You're on the line.
Well, here's a shocker, man. I was watching the ABC nightly news, and they broke in with this story. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because they said a high-profile college coach test positive. I'm like, okay, who is it going to be? And when they said Coach Saban, man, I think I picked myself up 10 minutes later after I woke up, from hitting the floor. But here's the issue I have. Right now, the defense is already devastated. Just doing a comparison contrast between Georgia's numbers and Alabama numbers that you just showed us. The thing about it is, though, and this is my own thought, I think offensively we'll be fine because you got Steve Sarkisian still there. But the problem is Pete Golden. So now, the dilemma kicks in because that this week was going to be hectic with Saban coming in and implementing a whole bunch of stuff and trying to correct things, on the defensive side of the house with Pete Golden. So now what do you do? It's a dilemma now. And then we don't know how many players have tested positive or, will come back positive. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, if they got a few players that's going to come back positive, I think the game should be canceled, just like the other two games. And, and then a new date set up. I don't know what your take on it is.
I think when you look at this particular, scenario, being that it is already in Wednesday, I think, if we would have got that news on Monday, then I think they could have made some sort of decision earlier in the week. But I think considering the game plan has already been implemented, and it sounds like, from hearing with Nick Saban, it sounds like, the game is going to go forward as scheduled. And I'll play a quick clip once we get off, kind of as Nick Saban talking about, going forward with this game. And, I'm curious to see, how these players rise up. I think sometimes, just like kind of in basketball, when you get a technical and the player and the coach gets thrown out and the players kind of rise up and play so much better. Will that happen, especially with this defense? Because sometimes you're looking for like what will light a spark under this defense. I know it's bad news, but sometimes good news comes from bad news, if you get what I'm saying. Nick Saban playing kind of behind the scenes. I don't think, he's going to have control. He's going to be somehow he's going to be virtually in there. So sometimes, like I said, bad news creates good news.
But you know what, Cal, I'll say this, because I'm one of these guys. I'm a retired process improvement Lean Six Sigma guy, And so I look at things and problems and try to resolve the problems in the corporate world. And so here's one of the things I would look at. Because of the fact that the NCAA rules indicate you can only have so many coaches on the field, remember, This is what I would do. Here I am, coach is out, so he's going to be a distance away. Why not just bring Charlie Strong up on the field to help out the play calling, even though it's kind of late in the game, because he is an analyst. And so he has, probably put some input in. Why not bring Charlie Strong up to help out Pete Golden on the defensive side of the house? What do you think?
That's a fantastic point. And that's one point that I didn't even think about. But here's the thing, Mike, you can add analysts to the field. So that's a fantastic point. You could definitely bring Strong. You can bring Stoops. You could bring whoever you wanted to the field. You could bring, for example, if it was an offensive coach, you could bring on Major Applewhite. So I think in this case, you have Strong down on the field. And I think that is a fantastic point. I mean, Saban, as we've talked about many times before, is a chess master, right? I mean, right. Obviously he has COVID. He tested positive, but now you're adding another defensive mind on the field because you have Sark, but you can have another coach on the field. Great point, Mike. I can't believe I didn't think about that. So will Strong be the guy? I got to think absolutely. What else you got, Mike?
Well, I was just going to say before I close that, in the sense, though, because the regulations call for, you only have to have a certain number. That, like I said, you put them on there, man, and you start right now, because this just occurred today, and you start implementing. And Coach Saban should be, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Like you said, the game plan is already in place. We're going to bring Strong in, and we're going to make some arrangements and everything, and get this thing going. So therefore, we need to move forward, like you say, on Saturday. And then let's give Georgia. You always talk about players, get that uplift and say, hey, this is going to be for the coach. We need to fight for the coach. But at the same time, you bring in Strong. Strong is an outstanding defensive mind. Maybe not a good head coach except at Louisville, but in regards to a defensive side of the house, man. I mean, I think to me, this is going to be the resolution plan to move forward. And then, hey, let's mess Georgia up with the defense. They're thinking, hey, these holes in the middle are open. The edges, the flats are open. In the last 3 games, we bring Strong in and like I said, implement those changes real quick if we can and move forward. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. So, I think Mike brought up a great point. I'll get to my next caller in just a second. Alabama, actually the NCAA implemented a rule that, if a coach on the field coach gets COVID, that Alabama can, or any team can, add an analyst to the field. So you got to think that Charlie Strong will be on the field going in this game. Now, I don't know that for certain. I'll try to dig in and try to get some nuggets on that and post those back at Bama Insider. But I mean, think about that. I mean, just when Alabama needed another defensive mind, because we've all been talking about the Alabama defense, Saban steps out and you add another on-the-field coach. I mean, that could definitely it will happen. We just don't know who the coach will be. Remember, Alabama has a couple of defensive coaches, but I think obviously the clear one would be Charlie Strong. I'm going to go to my next caller right now. Hey, thanks for calling. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Oh, yes, Kyle. This is Jarvis calling in from Texas.
Hey, what's up, Jarvis? Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Go ahead, man. You're on.
First of all, I just want to say great work, Kyle, with everything y'all been doing. I mean, you and Bone, from recruiting to the hot year Alabama's been having so far on a positive note. So great work. First of all, I want to start by saying, prayers for Coach Saban. Even though you get a positive test, it's not a death sentence. So he says he feels fine. And like he always says, they don't make him like they used to anymore. So I think he's a warrior, and I think he'll be fine. So I just want to start by saying that.
Jarvis, this game should be played this weekend. Do you agree with that?
I really do. And the reason I say that is because, this isn't new. Fortunately, we did have a head start on COVID, during the whole summer. Things have been pretty much virtual. It's been pretty much this protocol for the longest. So I don't think that'll really change, too much for the game plan. And I think with the technology we have, he'll still be, right there on the pulse of the game as well.
I think so. When you kind of look at this matchup, and we're on the line with Jarvis from Texas, thank you very, very much for calling. Will everybody do me a favor real quick? Hit the thumbs up button and be sure and subscribe. Trying to get this channel as big as we can get. Tons of Alabama Crimson Tide football fans. So you want the coverage, be sure and hit the subscription button. We appreciate it. Jarvis, kind of when we look at this matchup, when we look head to head, I mean, obviously the big thing has been the Alabama's lack of defense. I mean, is that, do you think Georgia's defense can stop Alabama's offense?
First of all, I really want to say that I think between the Ole Miss game, how it went, and Nick Saban tested positive for COVID, I think all of that could really be a blessing in disguise for us. Everybody's bashing us right now. The whole world is kind of down on us. So I think this is really our chance to make a statement to show that our offense can hang with the best defenses like Georgia. I think we can actually score 30 to 40 points on Georgia for what I've seen. And I think that the team will come out inspired with the chip on our shoulder, knowing the whole world is watching us, to show that we can overcome Coach Saban's diagnosis as well as the way we played last week at Ole Miss.
Jarvis, talk about the play of Mac Jones and just what he's done. I mean, a lot of people felt that this kid couldn't get the job done coming into the season. Now going into the biggest game of the college football season, I mean, playing absolutely through the roof, leads college football in efficiency. He was brilliant against Ole Miss. Talk about your thoughts on Mac Jones and how he's orchestrated this offense.
Oh man, I can't say too much about Mac. I even started calling him Big Mac now, for big game Mac, because I mean he's playing big time. I mean he's picking up right where Tua left off, and the thing about him is he makes a little bit better decisions than Tua did. He gets the ball out. You don't really have to worry about his injury concern, knock on wood, so far. And he's barely been getting touched. I mean, in these games, the offensive line has been keeping him upright, and he really makes quick decisions with the ball. So it's like he's like a smarter version of when Tua was here, in my opinion.
Yeah, Mac Jones is certainly off to a fantastic start. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Jarvis. We really appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next time.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Roll Tide, and playing for Nick Saban. I hope we get this big win Saturday.
Absolutely. All right, before we take our next call, and I just posted it on on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go and check it out, you can just go to our YouTube channel and check out Nick Saban's press conference. But I just wanted to kind of pipe in a little bit of sound before we get going from Nick Saban, and then we'll get more calls in the queue. So let me get Saban, and I'll get that for you guys right now, and then I'll take more of your calls right here on Bam Insider. All right, 1 second. Trying to do a bunch of things at once. It's like sometimes it's like the one-man operation, right? All right, let's see if I can get this. All right, okay. While I work on that, I will add, let's see if I can do it one more time. Okay. All right, couldn't do it. All right, so I'll take my next caller and work on that. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
My name is Chris.
Chris, where are you calling in from, buddy?
Yeah. Virginia.
All right, go ahead, Chris. You're on the line, buddy.
I just want to talk about how Nick Saban and pray for his family and stuff, how he's been going through.
Yeah, thank you for calling in, man. So prayer. Long story short, prayers for Nick Saban, right? Is that what I'm getting, Chris?
Yeah.
You think the game should be played this weekend, Chris?
Yeah, as long as yeah, I think so.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the prayers for Nick Saban, and we'll move on to our next caller. All right. Thanks for calling in, man. Thank you. All right, on to our next caller. And hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Jerick back here again to call in and talk about the game real quick.
Yeah, Jerick, thanks for waiting. I know that we kind of had to cut and then go to Saban, and now we're back. So kind of when we look at the game and the kind of schematics of everything, does this simply come down to, can Georgia stop Alabama, or is there something else that we haven't really talked about?
I think it is more of Georgia stopping Alabama. I think that is the particular case right there, because first, we got to figure out, is Sark is the guy, right? He's the guy that's going to be an interim coach.
Yeah, so he will be the interim coach. And just like Mike and I were talking about, the NCAA has actually allowed a ruling that if an on-the-field coach does get COVID, an analyst can step on the field. So you got to think Charlie Strong is now on the field for Alabama, which, I mean, talk about perfect timing. I mean, not perfect timing for Nick Saban, but I mean, you can kind of go to that, the bench of the analysts that Alabama has and add Charlie Strong.
You know what, a name that a lot of people are not talking about that I think will be a good interim type of coach for Alabama, and to really let Sark pretty much handling all the play calling duties, so he really didn't have to worry about. I like Kyle Flood. Mm-hmm. That dude has a lot of experience. The players really respect him. From what I've been hearing, he does have that Alabama factor that a lot of these players kind of look up to. I think Kyle Flood, with the experience, with the long time coaching experience that he has, I think would be a great interim coach. You never want to have a coach that has play calling duties be the coach. I think that just kind of, we've seen some guys, of course, that are masters at it, but we've seen some other coaches that aren't really. But I do like Sark. We all know Sark, former Washington coach, USC coach, a bunch of experience. I think he'll do fine. But going back to your original question real quick, it's going to be more about Georgia stopping this offense. And Of course, the other side of the field is going to be interesting between, can Georgia's offense, who starts off slow every first half and doesn't really get it going based off what the defense has been doing to other oppositions, can Georgia's offense continue that consistency? Are they going to start off, with a hot trend against this Alabama defense in the first half? But, Georgia's defense is very, very physical up front. Jordan Davis, he's more like a Tyler Shelvin type of guy. He's the guy that demands two blockers. Devontae Wyatt is a guy that can fill in the gaps as well. They got guys like Aziz Ojulari and Nolan Smith, but a bunch of pass rushers and a bunch of depth into Kobe Dean and Monty Rice, who's been playing more like Dylan Moses a lot more recently, but he's one of the best linebackers in the SEC. So this is one of the defenses that can rush with four. They primarily love to play pressure with the quarterback. This is more of a hands-on team that can also play really, really good zone as well, but they're going to try to not give up big plays, pretty much let all the plays underneath. And Alabama's a team that can pretty much, they see what coverage gives you, right? Sarkisian capitalizes of what the coverage kind of gives you, and he formulates a game plan based off of that. So it's going to be real interesting to see if Georgia's pressure with the elite personnel that they got in the front could affect Mac Jones, who's not a prototypical, like that mobile quarterback that can go to the outside. But we even saw Joe Burrow have some trouble with that. But because of his scrambling ability and what he can do to extend plays, it's something that Georgia has never seen, and nothing that they can, and it's something that they just couldn't handle. So against we've seen against non-mobile quarterbacks like Tua Tagovailoa that it's given Alabama fits. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. We'll see if the Alabama offensive line can get up front. But I think the key to this game, Kyle, is the run game. If Alabama can establish a run game to pretty much add on to the addition of the passing game, it's going to do wonders for this Alabama offense.
All right, Jerick, when we kind of look overall, and, we've talked about Georgia's quarterback before, and I think I have his stats on the screen. Stetson Bennett, 689 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, you have Zamir White, 54 carries for 214 yards with 4 touchdowns. I mean, based off the games that you've seen, Kearis Jackson, 19 receptions, 300 yards. I mean, this offense, it seems like they're better than they're given credit for. Bennett seems like he can move around a little bit. Kind of what's your assessment when you kind of look at the Georgia Bulldogs on the offensive front?
Georgia's offense is old Alabama. They're a team that relies more on ground and pound, a lot of play action based off of run concepts. But of course, they dictate the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line is very, very, it starts off with the line. They're very, very big, very physical, great quickness, can get off the ball extremely quick. Their running backs are decent. They got running back depth with Zamir White and Kenny McIntosh. They love to do the rotation to keep the backs fresh, but they're nothing too special, right? They're not a Najee Harris. They're not a DeAndre Swift or a Travis Etienne guy, but those are guys that can definitely ground and pound and get the rocks going. But it does start off with the front. Stetson Bennett is average. That's not particularly a bad thing, but I think he's your prototypical game managing quarterback, right? He's pretty efficient for the most part. He's a guy that's not going to really lose you the game. But he's not going to force turnovers, but he's not particularly going to give you guys like a comeback victory. Like if Alabama's up by like 14 points in this game, if Alabama's up by 14 points, Bama's not losing that lead because of the explosiveness of their offense. So the one key thing, Kyle, is if Alabama's offense can kind of dictate what they want to do with Georgia, and if Alabama's defense can control, if they can control the running game, which if you go back and look at the A&M game, that's how A&M beat Florida. A&M beat Florida because they dictated the run, and one thing Alabama did well against A&M was that they dictated the offensive line. And they really did a good job controlling the run game by not letting Isaiah Spiller pretty much do what he wanted to do. So, with this, so it starts off with stopping the run. If you can stop the run, it forces Stetson Bennett to be something that he's not, and that's to be that quarterback. Especially using spread concepts and off of play action, which makes Alabama's job on the defensive side of the ball a lot more easier. But it does start with Alabama's defense. It does start with, of course, tackling in the open field. It does start off with guys that are, William Anderson, a guy that's making plays, but he's not finishing. It's all about finishing in that category. But like I called and said about earlier, this is a much easier game for Alabama to game plan for compared to Ole Miss, who's a very unpredictable offense that throws in multiple offensive sets against the defense that just absolutely throws your game off. And they also run a hurry-up offense, which Alabama is not known to doing. It's just not that. They're your prototypical pro-style offense that dictates their offense based off their offensive line play.
Good stuff, Jerick. I love how you break down the schematics, man. Thank you for calling back in. I'm going to move to my next caller, but thank you so much, man, and good luck to your Buffalo Bills, and appreciate you calling in on double time today, man. It's a big week, so everybody's got to eat. So thank you so much, Jerick. We appreciate it.
Yep, no problem, man. No problem.
Love how Jerick can break it down, right? I mean, we have such great callers right here on Bama Insider. As you guys saw earlier today, Nick Saban tested positive for COVID-19. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. You're watching Bama Insider live. You can check out more of our coverage on Bama Insider. Be sure and hit the thumbs up button, and most importantly, the subscription button, so you guys never miss when we drop content. I'm going to try to do one more tightrope as we kind of get Nick Saban. I'd like to get that for you if I can. Let me see if I can do that. And I don't think I'm able to. So I might have to come back to that. And I'll try that again. Okay, no problem. I'm not going to give up. Okay. Okay, we're going to take my next caller on the line. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
That's Robert from Mobile.
Hey, Robert. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. First off, your thoughts kind of on the biggest news in college football, that Nick Saban tested positive for COVID-19.
Well, my attitude with this whole COVID thing has been that it's going to have to spread. There, in the history of the world, we have never successfully stopped viruses from spreading. It's inevitable that viruses spread. They mutate, so they change. That's why you don't ever really cure them. I mean, AIDS has been around for decades, and the common cold is a virus. The thing is, it spreads, it infects people, and we build up our immune system to fend them off, and to keep the symptoms down.
You can go ahead and
this idea of stopping the spread was a fallacy from day one, and the lockdowns and all that was all fallacy. Herd immunity is a concept in science that exists for a reason. That's how viruses. Humanity has dealt with viruses since we've been here, and now to think that we can just stop this one, no, this is the one we can all stop. No. If you look at the numbers behind it, Nick Saban has a better than a 90% chance of surviving, but he's asymptomatic, so his chances of survival are even higher because his symptoms are very mild right now. Could they get worse? Maybe, but right now they're very mild. And I mean, the president even had COVID, and he got through it. Mm-hmm. And this idea that this virus equals death is also a fallacy. For the vast majority of the people, over 99%, it does not equal death. So, I heard the previous caller said that they shouldn't even try football. Eventually, we're going to have to get back to normal. Eventually, we're going to have to learn to live with coronavirus like we do with all other viruses. So, I mean, folks, you're going to have here COVID forever. And COVID's not a new virus either. It's been around for a long time, too. This is COVID-19. This is a different strain. One day it'll be COVID-20. But life has to get back to normal, and I applaud Nick Saban and all the other people for trying to get us back to normal as soon as possible. Because we're going to have to open up, we're going to have to end these lockdowns, and we're going to have to learn to live with COVID-19. We shouldn't have started it to this degree in the first place, and we're hurting too many businesses and too many people's lives in an effort to try to stop something that we've never been able to stop since humanity has been here. We don't stop viruses. We treat them, and we live with them. That's what we've done. The flu virus comes back every single year. We haven't stopped that yet. I don't know what. I think this got too political, and that was the problem. People used a political angle for this and allowed it to get worse than it should have gotten. Now, again, I fully expect Nick Saban to make a full recovery, as the president did, as 99% of the people who catch this virus do. The virus does not equal death for everybody. Does it equal death for some? Yes. So does the flu. So does the common cold. But again, I've always hated this concept of, well, no, you can't get COVID. We got to stop it. We can't be from catching it. Yes, you do. Eventually, we will reach herd immunity, and more people will eventually have antibodies in their bodies naturally to fend it off. It'll still exist, and some people will still die from it, as they do with all viruses. So, but this nonsense of stopping live and locking down, that's got to end. And so hopefully this will help people realize, hey, we have to get back to normal. We can't keep people locked down forever. Life does have to go on. I consider talking about the game with me. So I think I'll use up all my time with you.
All right, I'll give you a final thought. No, and I appreciate the call, Robert. It's been a while since we had caught up, and I know you used to frequently call, and I'm glad to have you back on the line. I'll give you a final thought though. But this game, as we look to Alabama and Georgia, you got to make it quick though. What are the keys to the game for Alabama? Is there more to it than Alabama's defense just tightening up? You got make it quick. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm sorry. No, there isn't. It is that simple. The Alabama defense has to tighten up. Let's not underestimate this quarterback. The gaping holes in Alabama defense, any decent quarterback can exploit. So just saying we need to stop the run and make him a pocket passer. Well, number one, we're having trouble stopping the run, and secondly, we're having trouble with anybody passing because, again, running backs out the backfield are wide open. You and I can hit those passes, Kyle. A tight end across the middle, they're wide open. You and I can hit those passes, Kyle. So yes, the defense tightening up. That's the key. All right, man.
All right, thank you so much, Robert. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to move on to our next callers. I got to do a couple behind the scenes work real quick.
You can go ahead and you
probably hear Nick Saban right there. I got to do some stuff behind the scenes, and let's see if I can get this Saban kind of piped in. I'd like to have some B-roll of Saban while we're doing this. So let me see if I can do that. Okay, we're going to move to our next caller, and let's see what we got. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, how you doing? It's DeMarrco from Atlanta. How you doing, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, DeMarrco? Good evening. I hope you're having a nice day. Thank you very much for calling in. It's a pretty amazing day, in the college football world. And as you know, Nick Saban has been, tested positive for COVID-19. What's kind of your initial reaction to the news today, DeMarrco?
Oh, yeah, thank you for that, Kyle. I'm doing all right. And when you have the GOAT on the sideline and the GOAT in your program, Nick Saban, things like these really don't deter the focus. The coaching staff and the culture there in place will sustain almost anything except the world ending. So I'm not concerned at all. I don't think Nick Saban needs to be there for this team to do what it needs to do. Kind of what you saw happen with Ryan Day from when Irvin left. Those guys are just so great, generationally speaking, that their presence would be felt regardless. Probably even more so in their absence, to be honest. And Coach kind of alluded to that a little bit today at the end of his presser. So that's my point to that. So I want to get into this game a little bit, and a little bit of this Pete Golden stuff. I want to make it quick so you can give me some dialogue back on it, all right? For me, I think what we have to realize is that Georgia defense has been great since Kirby's gotten there. That's never been their Achilles heel. What it has been is their offense, which is what took a Jake Fromm, who people were mistakenly considering a generational talent, and turned him into a fifth-round draft pick, which also led to them kind of being in the position that they've been in for these years in terms of that offense kind of collapsing and not being able to match that defense. And great offense typically beats great defense any day. So I'm not worried at all about Alabama in this Georgia game. We're talking about a team in Alabama's defense. Let me tell you something. People need to actually look at what's happening on the field. Last week's game, Ole Miss's top two receivers combined for one catch, 11 yards. Against their top two receivers, they were held in check. When we played against Missouri, that game was 35-3 in the third quarter. When we played against Texas A&M, we gave up 2 touchdowns off of mental errors. So what you see happening is guys making mental errors because you didn't get that full fourth quarter program in the offseason. You didn't get all of those things happening in the offseason. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the things you're seeing. People act as if defense is constructed in a vacuum, as if Charlie Strong isn't providing input to Pete Golding. As if Pete Golding is in there saying, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. Stop it. It's not Pete Golding. It is the entire coaching staff as a whole that is charged with putting these guys in the right respective positions. What do you think about that, Cal?
Yeah, I think I like your points. And I was talking when the show first started, because I started my show, the breaking news, then I cut to Saban, and then I came back and started my second show. And what I was talking with Mike about, and Mike brought up a couple of good points. If you rewind the show or whenever you watch it, I'll put this as a podcast as well. But he was saying, remember, the NCAA has allowed for an assistant to step back on the field if an on the field assistant does get COVID. So in this case, you got to think, since Saban is out, you got to implement Charlie Strong, right? Which I think is going to be an added benefit. And I think you bring up some great points. I mean, the defense did have a good showing against Missouri, right? You hit on the nail on the head, 35-3. I thought they did really well. And then I think the corners did a great job. However, the linebacker play has been atrocious. You look at the grades, and I had these grades up. Here's the defensive player grades. I mean, Dylan Moses through 3 games, 52.6. Christian Harris, 54.9. I mean, those grades just are absolutely dismal when you kind of look at, the first 3 games of the season. And the grades were bad last year, too. So you got to then point to who's the inside linebacker coach, and then that's Pete Golding, right? So something has to be going on. And like Sean from Huntsville called in the other night, he said it's not really the players, it's more the schematics that Alabama is doing on defense. That makes a lot of sense, kind of when you look at the larger spectrum. But I was thinking about this, DeMarrco, and you tell me what you think. Everybody's played basketball, right? What happens when your head coach gets a technical and he's thrown to the locker room, or when he's not there? It lights a fire. It's supposed to light a fire up. Same thing with baseball, right? The baseball coach gets thrown out, and maybe that is happening at the perfect time, right? Like now Saban's not there, and these guys are going to be like, let's do it for Saban. Let's do it for Saban. You got to keep his record undefeated against assistants. And maybe that could come at the perfect time where it lights a fire under this defense, because everybody knows that these two teams can't wait to go at it. I mean, the last time they played SEC championship game, we all remember what that game happened. And then the last time and then before that, it was a national title game, right? 2nd and 26. So my point is, these two teams can't wait to tangle on Saturday. And I think the defense is inspired because Saban's not there. And then you got Charlie Strong, who I don't know for certain, but it makes sense that he would be on the field. So I think Alabama's defense is kind of fired up in this game. It's going to all come down to the schematics, but maybe Charlie Strong is that saving grace. But anything else, DeMarrco, while we wind a final thought?
Yeah. I mean, in response to that, I do expect for that to light a fire under this team, to do it for their leader, the greatest of all time, Nick Saban. And I have full confidence in this program to do it. I like our chances against what Georgia does. I think what we do against Georgia is very, very textbook and proto style for what they do. You think about a team that's going to try to ground and pound you all the way and play defense. That hasn't won Georgia the big game. Mm-hmm. They've tried it year after year after year, and it fails. So you're not going to beat this team like that. Look at what happened to LSU last year. They lost because you can't win in the second half playing like that. Yeah. You can't win a football game playing like that. So I think we'll be absolutely fine against, Georgia. And here's one last thing. Every time he plays an assistant, what happens? They try to outsmart him and they lose. Yeah. Look at what happened to Lane last game with the kick in kickoff, and look what happened the first time we played Georgia a couple years ago when they tried that surprise play.
No,
I think we'll be fine.
It's going to be, I can't wait for Saturday. I mean, just hearing Saban speak, I mean, it looks like the game's fully on. I know in my first show, we were kind of asking if this game's going to take place, but it fully looks like it will. I'm sure we'll learn more, within these next 24 hours. But thank you very much, DeMarrco. I appreciate you always calling in. You always bring such great dialogue, and I'm really grateful for your time tonight. Take it easy, buddy. All right. That was DeMarrco from Atlanta, always giving us some good stuff. We appreciate hearing from DeMarrco. Let me see if I can pipe in one more time. I just like to have like some Saban, if I can get him in here. I'll get to my callers in just a second. Just hang in there. But I wanted to maybe see if I can add Saban in here. Give me 1 second.
Can go ahead and you give your opening statement.
Yeah, well, you guys know that
something really must be bad wrong. As much as I look forward to these Wednesday press conferences, for me not to be there with you today. But I was informed early this afternoon that I had a positive test for COVID-19 on a PCR test. At this point, I'm completely asymptomatic, feel fine. Our medical officials have told me as long as I remain asymptomatic, I will have a daily PCR testing per SEC protocol to confirm the initial positive. I found this out about 1 o'clock today. I came home. I informed our team by Zoom. I watched practice today. I talked to the team after practice today, all by Zoom. I actually could speak with a manager if there was anything that I thought was not going correctly. So we're still doing everything possible to get ready for the Georgia game, preparing our team. I'll have normal meetings tomorrow. Everything will be on Zoom. We'll continue to do this. Sark's kind of filling in my absence for anything that needs coordinated in the office. But we're going to do everything we can to help our team, get ready to play. And, the players today, it's our goal that they play their best and be at their best for the game. And we're going to continue to try to do this. And, we've had a lot of challenges this year. Our guys have shown great maturity in how they've handled all those challenges. So I'm sure they'll handle this in a very positive way as well.
All right. And you can watch that full press conference back right here on our YouTube channel or go to BamaInsider.com. We got the full, the statement from the University of Alabama. And then, of course, we got more coverage as Alabama continues to gear up for Georgia. And it looks like the game is going to take place. We'll move on with our next caller right here. Thank you very much for waiting on the line. Hello. Thank you very much for calling. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, this is James from Tuscaloosa.
Hey, what's up, James? Thank you very much for calling in. Beautiful day in Tuscaloosa. I know the news later in the evening kind of overshadowed everything, but it's been very beautiful. So I'm glad that you're able to enjoy this Tuscaloosa weather as well, man. Go ahead, buddy. You're on the show.
Yeah, it's almost like we're not even like it's not even October anymore. It's so hot today, man. But anyways, my first question was and prayers go out to Coach Saban and his family, so as Greg Burns, the athletic director or whatever. But my question was okay, so wouldn't you think that Coach Saban, with him having probably one of the biggest coaching staffs in college football, are they capable? Wouldn't you think that they will be capable of handling this without Coach Saban? I understand he brings a different energy, but I would just think that this is what we invested in, so it should pay off this game. I mean, we're more than capable. We have the talent to do it. And I was just thinking of your thoughts.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the things that Nick Saban has always prided himself about is having those analysts on staff. I mean, you look at the analysts that are behind Nick Saban, and behind the coaching staff. I mean, they're all pretty much head coaches. I mean, Butch Jones, Charlie Strong, Major Applewhite. I mean, these are all guys with that have been around and have a lot of experience. And just as I've been mentioning earlier, and I think this is really important to know going forward to everybody out there, the NCAA has allowed a rule that if a on the field coach, one of your 10 coaches gets COVID, that he can step out and an analyst can step in. So Nick Saban, it's like he's been almost planning for this for such a long time. And he's always used that analyst position to, not only add more kind of a game plan to the overall schematics of the coaching staff, but this year, I mean, for those guys to be able to step in, I think Stoops stepped in for Charles Kelly. I think it was the first game of the season. So I think that's a big testament to, kind of Nick Saban's overall staff. What else you got? You think this game should take place this weekend, James?
You know what? I really do. For the simple fact is, I feel that it would be a great thing to go down to Alabama history lore as to say that, Alabama beat the number 3 team in the nation from his couch. Nick Saban beat the number 3 team in the nation from his couch. Wouldn't that be pretty awesome?
It's crazy. So all right, so we rewind to the national title game, right? That was my first year that I moved to Tuscaloosa, and I'm kind of getting accustomed to everything, and we go down and watch Alabama beat Georgia with Tua Tagovailoa when he comes in second 26, right? And I was on the sideline. I have some incredible footage. I'll never forget it. So it's the backup, right? And then what happened in that second game? Who was it? It was the backup quarterback when Jalen Hurts came in to the SEC championship. I felt like I was watching a movie. I'm serious. The emotions running through. I cannot believe that where Jalen Hurts lost his job, he came back. And you know how Jalen handled himself. I'll always have so much respect for Jalen, the way he handled himself. He came back and he wins the game against Georgia, right? When Georgia had a great game plan for the offense. Now it's Saban is out and it's the backup coach that is taking on Kirby Smart. It's like this is so crazy that this is even happening. And if Sarkisian,
unprecedented,
that's what I'm saying. And if Sarkisian can lead Alabama past Kirby Smart, I mean, I can't even believe what will happen. Now we had a Georgia fan call on earlier and so is like, all right, if Georgia beats Alabama, everybody's going to be like, oh, it's because of Saban wasn't there and this and that. Look, if Georgia comes and beats Alabama, which they very well could. I mean, this is an incredible Georgia team. It is what it is. My question is, does it go against Saban? I would say yes, because this is Saban's team. I mean, people would probably put an asterisk that he wasn't on the field, but I think head to head, I mean, you got it. I mean, it's his program. This is his team. This is his game plan. So, I mean, if Kirby Smart comes and beats, it doesn't matter. They probably would have won anyways. This Georgia team's is fantastic.
Yeah, they're legit. So my last question, because I don't want to hold you up, Cal.
You're good.
Okay, so say if Steve Sarkisian leads Alabama past Georgia, right? Do he leave next year? Like, is he a more sought out head coach in the nation at that point? Because I mean, I understand you still got great talent, you got great players, and our offense has been great this year, as well as last year. But does that like kind of boost him up in the coaching field as far as like being sought after?
Yeah, I think Sarkisian's going to leave regardless if he was, steps in and wins this game or whatever. I mean, he's already the highest paid assistant coach in college football. Now, the anomaly to that would be Brett Venables for Clemson, who's a defensive coordinator who's also making some serious cash. I think he's like $2 million or something like that. And he's been able to stay with Dabo Swinney. I have no idea why he hasn't gone out and got a head coaching job for himself. I think that's really helped Clemson's overall continuity. But I think with Steve Sarkisian, I think it's clear that he's going to be a head coach again. He kind of flirted with Colorado, and obviously that wasn't the right move for him. So I think if the right program opens up, then, that's what he's going to do. I mean, these guys don't get to this level and want to be assistant coaches. I mean, I think all these guys on the roster want to be eventual head coaches. And Sarkisian, we saw what he did at Washington. We saw what he did at USC. And I think that he could certainly lead another program. I mean, especially, under Nick Saban for the past couple of years. I mean, can you imagine the copious amount of information that he has gathered over that time? He's already such a quality coach.
Right.
And I think no matter what happens, I think Sarkisian will definitely leave Alabama after this season. Anything else, James?
I'm going to sign off for this, Kyle. You've been great as always. And I'm going to sign off for this. This is going to go down as the game Coach won from the couch.
All right. I love it, James. And James, can I say something before you leave? How long do you live in Tuscaloosa?
Sure. 12 years.
All right, cool. I just want to say, as someone who's rather new to Tuscaloosa, I mean, now I've almost been here 5 years, but I just want to say to everybody out there in Alabama, like, you guys have really taken me in. I really appreciate the Southern hospitality. I feel like home here. And, I just love living in Tuscaloosa. I love living in the South and, just such a great place to live, man. So credit to you, James, and everybody else in T-Town, man. This is definitely a great place to live, and I love calling it home.
Hey, James, hey, Kyle, you are a country cousin, man.
No doubt.
Roll Tide.
All right. Thank you, James. Take it easy.
All right, brother.
All right. Country cousin. I love it. Okay. Next caller on the line. Hello. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, cool. I didn't catch your name. Go ahead.
Yeah, what?
What was your name?
Cole Hines.
Okay, Cole. Cole from Birmingham. Go ahead, buddy. You're on.
Yeah, so I think everyone's pretty devastated about Coach Saban being out for this one Georgia game, bro. And let's say, yeah, and Jalen Waddle, I think he's gonna turn up, you know what I mean? And Najee Harris, I think he's gonna come back like in that last game. he secured the bag for us Alabama fans. That's all.
All right, cool, man. Thanks, Cole. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in, buddy. That's Cole from Birmingham. Nice and short and sweet. How about and I like what James said. I'm writing it down so I can give James props and also talk about it later on. You know, if this is the game that Saban won from the couch, I think that's awesome. So James from T-Town, from the couch. Can you imagine? Hey, Daniel Moore. Can you imagine Daniel Moore printing that up? His coach is on the couch, you know, with some chips. What he's got the golden flake chips and he's just chilling, calling it from the sidelines. And Alabama beats Georgia. I'm telling you, it's crazy to think that Alabama now has their assistant coach. It's like another backup. And the last two backups that have gone against Kirby Smart, it beat Kirby Smart. I mean, this Georgia team is something else. I get it. The defense is fantastic. I think the offense is better than we're getting them credit for. We'll speak with Georgia's website, UJ Sports, later in the week on our Bama Tailgate show to kind of get more information on Georgia and just how good this team is. But we will move to our next caller and take it right now. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Jay from Atlanta again. How are you? Hey,
what's up, man? Thanks for calling back. I appreciate it, man. It was good to have that dialogue the other day, and here we are with some even bigger news going into this week. I know you like the Bulldogs, and you brought a lot to the show last time, man. So you're on the line, man. Go ahead, take it away.
Like the Bulldogs, I think I was in a panic. You know, I was fresh off the weekend and processing what I had seen. You know, I don't know if you've heard. I have told you I am in enemy territory over here in Atlanta, and Georgia's already won the game. You know, I don't know if you heard that. Like every Georgia fan I know, guys I went to school with, it's over. Like they've won the game. The spread keeps dropping. But I want to liken this to a movie. I've been pointing this out to some friends. They thought it was kind of funny, but I don't know if you remember the movie Hoosiers when Dennis Hopper had to step in for Gene Hackman. That's my vision for Sark in this game. You know, and I hope, Sark has crumbled under the pressure. He really couldn't hold up at USC. And I hope that this is his next moment to shine. And to answer some of the other questions from the previous callers, here's the thing for Sark. This is an opportunity for him. If he goes in and dominates Georgia, then Sark may want to just sit pretty as Saban's right-hand man. And this may be a perfect dress rehearsal for Sark to be the lead guy in 4 or 5 years.
That's kind of the other thing I was thinking about, Jay. I mean, because everybody wants to always talk about the next head coach, right? And how close is Saban to exiting? I have no idea. I mean, do you think he coaches 5 more years? I personally don't. But if Steve Sarkisian waits his turn, I think he would be the perfect guy to hand the keys over, right? I think this guy, is a quality head coach. He could be kind of that, because let's face it, nobody out there wants to be the guy after the guy. Nobody, right? There's some poor guy out there that's going to be the guy after the guy. And I think the perfect guy could be Sarkisian. He steps in, he has those West Coast ties. He does such a good job with the offense. But the bigger factor is you need somebody who's going to be the defensive coordinator, and all eyes right now on Pete Golding as we continue to talk about. But I think that might be a conversation for another time. But you're right. I mean, he wins this game right now. Can you imagine, just the notoriety that he's going to gain beating Georgia, this ferocious Georgia team that's coming in? I think that's a fantastic point. Just another feather to put in his cap.
Right. Well, history books, I believe a similar situation happened for Fulmer at Tennessee. I think he stepped in when a coach had to take a leave for some reason. I don't remember the details, but I believe Fulmer stepped in, and Orgeron had a similar situation. So it may be a perfect case scenario for Sark to really showcase the potential and ease him into the role. So it isn't like a lack of familiarity or a lack of proving himself. Like what better stage? So the way I see it is, man, Sark's going to bring his A game, and these players, this is the other side of the coin. These players are pissed off from that Ole Miss talk, and they're going to play a little looser in this game because they see that Ole Miss game as an outlier and they want to prove it. And now, in a way, it's bulletin board material because all these UGA folks are like, oh, we got this game in the bag. In a weird way, even though the spread doesn't show it, Bama's kind of like an underdog right now. That's the vibe you get. So I just think You got Sark out there with something to prove, and you got these players out there with something to prove. Plus, they're going to be playing really loose.
I think that's a great point. I mean, just as I said earlier, I think, these players are going to be played fired up. I get it. The Bryant Denny is not going to be as, as livid as it would be, considering, they don't have all the fans. But now that Saban's not there, I think these players have something extra to play for in this game, especially coming after a game where, let's face it, I mean, they got abused by Ole Miss's offensive lines. The defense really needs it's gut check time for this defense. If there was ever a time, now is that time. Final thought, Jay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went back and I watched some of the film on the Missouri game. Man, the defense is there. Mm-hmm. Dylan Moses is going to get back. He's going to get his head right. Like, Anderson is legit. Those guys, I don't know what it was. I want to believe this is an outlier. The Ole Miss game was their hiccup game, and we'll know early on if Anderson and Dylan Moses are dialed back in, which I think we're going to see quickly. And then the other question I have for you is, I've been asking some folks today, Jordan Battle, who's going to hold that ground first half?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be DeMarrco Hellams. I mean, you kind of look back there, who's it going to be? And I think that's a point that, has kind of been overshadowed considering everything that's going on. I'll answer on the other line, Jay. Thanks for calling in again. Please call again next time. Definitely after the game. We appreciate it. That was Jay from Atlanta. We appreciate the call. I think when you look at kind of that safety position, it's absolutely going to be DeMarrco Hellams. So you got DeMarrco Hellams and Daniel Wright. And, Daniel Wright had the pick 6 against Texas A&M. He also let someone score. And then if you really want to see the truth, I think I have the defensive grades right here for the secondary, and it's not too good. Let me take off this banner so you guys can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, Alabama on the left, Georgia on the right, and these are the defensive grades from Pro Football Focus. Georgia has a defensive grade of 91 overall. Alabama's has a grade of 69. Now, this is through 3 games, obviously. The rush defense for Alabama, 66.1. Surprised it's not lower than that, right? Georgia, on the other hand, 92.0. Of course, they're going to have their hands full with Najee Harris, who just ran for 200 yards, and Brian Robinson for another 70 yards. You got tackling grade of 60. So, kind of looking at that safety position, it's definitely going to be DeMarrco Hellams. I think I have, there you go. So there's kind of the secondary grades. I didn't put the safeties. The safeties are back at Bama Insider. All this is back at Bama Insider. These are just kind of screenshots from there. But as you can see, Josh Jobe and Patrick Surtain playing very well, going against 2 very good corners on the opposite side, or at least the Alabama receivers are, and Tyson Campbell and Eric Stokes, who obviously have some very good grades. Okay, well, go ahead and continue to move on with the show. Appreciate you guys calling in. If you guys could hit the thumbs up button, that really means a lot. Super chats also appreciated, but a thumbs up will do just fine. And got our next caller. I'm going to take it right now. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Yo,
who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
It's Caleb, man, from Memphis. How you been?
What's up, Caleb? Thank you very much for calling, man. You're on, man. Big day in college football with Nick Saban testing positive for COVID. So, Caleb from Memphis, you're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I haven't spoke to you since, the pre-tailgate show before the Missouri game, but obviously it's unfortunate. We lost our head coach, to COVID, and he always does a good job. If you ever notice, Saban is extremely calm when whenever we're doing very well and we're behind, and he tends to kind of lose his mind to get guys to get to do their job when we're actually up by 50 points. So I think that might be a factor, because he's always able to get the composure and get everybody level-headed whenever they start to panic, if they ever go down. But in my opinion, I don't think it's too much of a loss. I don't think everybody should be panicking over it, because I look at it like this. LSU last year, it wasn't Orgeron that led them to what they did. It was Brady, the OC, and it was Burrow. So if you look at it at a point like that, LSU this year, they're not awful, but you can't sit here and tell me that 2019 team does not do as good without that offensive coordinator from the, Joe Brady from the Patriots. It's just not going to happen. So, the way I'm looking at it is, it is Saban. Him and Kirby always have a chess match and mind games going. But it is going to be a thing if Sark can get the offense rolling And he also has to be able to keep them mentally composed if things start to hit the fan. But I'm going to tell you, Bama's going to have to start out fast because Georgia's front seven, I highly doubt. I mean, it was a good game by Najee against Ole Miss, but I promise you he's not going to run for that many yards against that Georgia front. So they're going to have to somehow, if we can establish that run game, everything's going to be fine. Even if it's 4 or 5 yards a pop, you got to make them respect it. And Ole Miss kind of set the blueprint because they were dropping their safeties back about 30 or 40 yards, so there's no deep bomb. You know, Mac was having a nickel and dime every now and then. And, you know, Najee, without Najee, I don't think we win that game against Ole Miss. There's no way. So I think it is a big loss for Saban, but I don't think it's as detrimental as everybody is pointing it out to be. You know, so Sark, if he can get it going, I mean, he's the one calling the plays. Of course, Saban chimes in, you know, if he needs to. But I don't want Bama fans, I don't want everybody to panic just because, you know, he's not on the sideline. Trust me, he's beating it into Sark's head. Sark's the one that's been calling the plays. And it wasn't the defense, it was just mental error. It was a rainy game against Ole Miss. There were missed tackles on third down. We could have had multiple stops. I remember a play specifically, Will Henderson had him in the backfield, missed an arm tackle. You know, who knows? Not making excuses. Who knows how much that wet, rainy weather, everybody's jersey was wet, came into a play. But Bama's going to definitely have to start out fast. And if they can do that, if they can go up 14-0, kind of control the clock, if they can get the ground game going, I think that's going to be the key to success. But my main point is I don't think everybody needs to be panicking about Saban because, you know, Sark's the OC. And I go back to my point with LSU. I mean, look where they are now and look where they were last year. So, you know, they had Brady and Burrow. So just your thoughts on that. You know, what do you think is the big deal of Saban's absence in this game?
I actually, you know, the more I think about it, it's almost kind of like a positive. You know, I think, you know, Saban always is about turning something negative into a positive. And that's kind of how I am. I'm like, look, okay, something bad happened. Now, what can you do to make it positive? And I think in Alabama's instance, I think you got to look at the fact that you do have a quality coaching staff around you, right? I get it. Everybody's calling, you know, for Pete Golding. But besides that, who's going to lead this program? Steve Sarkisian. He's done it before. I think the growth of Steve Sarkisian over the last, you know, several seasons has been tremendous. I think he's ready for another head coaching job after this. If he can lead Alabama past Georgia, I think that'll build him even more notoriety. But most importantly, this is a critical time for Alabama's football program overall. I think taking on Georgia, hosting them at Bryant-Denny will provide an opportunity for this team just to show how good they are and how they have improved from week 3 to week 4. Now, I thought Alabama would take it to Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin did a fantastic job on the offensive side. Now, that's a completely different game going into this week. If Alabama can slow down Georgia, if the defense can rise up and, you know, force some 3 and outs, I think Alabama wins this game. I think the offense is just playing too good, and I get it. Georgia's defense is fantastic. I think they can bottle up Najee Harris. I think those corners are going to present great challenges for Jalen Waddle and Smitty. And the one thing I will say about Kirby Smart as well, think about the last 2 times that Georgia and Alabama have played, right? Just the 2 last games. Kirby Smart has had a fantastic game plan to slow down Alabama, right? In each of those games, that's never been the problem. And I think he'll have a fantastic game plan to come into this game to try to stop Mac Jones, who has been playing through the roof. It's a great opportunity for Mac Jones. It's a great opportunity for Najee Harris. But most importantly, it's a great opportunity for Alabama's defense and the program overall. Can they win? Can they continue to win without Nick Saban? Because eventually Nick Saban's not going to be there, and this program has to continue to move on. Anything else, Caleb, while we're on?
Yeah, my final points. I think the keys to the success of this game, if there's 2 things. If we can get off the field on third down and we can somewhat establish a run game good enough to make them respect the play action and they have to respect the run, because if they completely bottle that run and they play deep safeties and they just play pass, I mean, I don't think it's going to be pretty. There has to be Dude, did you see how B-Rob? He was just going off. He was running
Yeah.
angry.
Oh, B-Rob played. I mean, the last two games, Brian Robinson has graded out on Pro Football Focus as the highest player for Alabama, or behind Mac Jones. I mean, you saw what he did in week 2, and then the progression of him in week 3. I mean, that's finally the Brian Robinson that we needed, and I think that certainly contributes to Najee Harris getting his, right? Because imagine taking on Najee Harris again and again, 235 pounds, and then getting B-Rob, same type of back. That's imposing.
Right. Yeah, that's the keys, man. That's the keys. That's the last thing I'll talk to you about.
Okay,
is just
man.
got to establish a run. Even if it doesn't work, you got to do it and make them respect it. And you got to tackle and get off the field on third down. But I don't want people to overreact over Saban's absence. I think Sark's going to step up and make a big name for himself. So, all right, man. I love the show. Keep doing your thing, and I'll make sure to call you guys out after the show after the game and give my thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Caleb. Appreciate it, buddy. All right.
All right, man.
Take our next caller. It's Caleb from Memphis. Appreciate it. All right, we're moving on. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
T from Oxford, Alabama.
Jeez, I'm sorry, I missed your first name. Sorry about that.
Terrell from Oxford, Alabama.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Could you turn down the volume in the background too?
Yeah.
All right, you're on the show. Go ahead, buddy. Thank you very much for calling in.
This is Terrell from Oxford. Big time Auburn fan, man. But hey, I want to give my wishes to Coach Saban. You know how it is in Alabama, man. It's Auburn and Alabama, and football's king. But when we have tornadoes and things, Auburn and Alabama always comes together. We're a family. We don't have pro football, anything pro. So college football is king, man. And I hate it for Coach Saban. It's going to be crucial because it's uncertain times and we don't know what's going to happen between now and Thursday and Friday. So I just pray that the players are going to be okay. Obviously, we know the AD came down with a positive test as well. So my heart goes out to the players in Tuscaloosa, Coach Saban, and his staff. Of course, big time Auburn fan, but we always come together when times come down like this. So I just wanted to call in and give my condolences to Coach Saban. I respect the guy. I love him to death, even though he's not an Auburn coach, but I respect what he's doing for our state, and obviously the University of Alabama and their football team. So I just wanted to call in and give my condolences to Coach Saban and his team, and hope they get better. And War Eagle.
All right. Thank you very much, Terrell. Appreciate you calling in, buddy. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. All right. Good stuff, fam. That was fun. I mean, it's I can't believe that this the news that's out there today. Nick Saban is tested positive for COVID. Everything that we heard from Nick Saban today, it looks like the game is fully on, and looks like preparations will continue as Alabama and Georgia continue to inch closer to that game. I can't wait to watch it. We'll definitely have the watch party right here on Bama Insider, and we'll take your calls right after the game. We'll have the watch party. And I don't know how many, that I can't even, I can't wait for this one, and kind of the drama added with Nick Saban not being there. I mean, my goodness, it's going to be something to watch for. So thanks for watching tonight on Bama Insider. I gotta take off right now, but I appreciate you guys being with me tonight. Thank you very much. Please hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. Super chats always welcomed, but most importantly, if you guys subscribe to the channel, really helps the brand grow and really our business grow. We this is what we do, and I appreciate you guys joining me and taking your calls. We'll definitely take your calls after the game, Georgia, Alabama, on the post-game call-in show right here on Bama Insider. Just remember, after the game, pull out the phone, post-game call-in show right here on Bama Insider. You guys on the number, put it in your phone book, 205-850-0883. Most importantly, hit the subscription tab so you always get notified when we drop a new video. Definitely go check out Nick Saban's press conference that we just posted from him talking about, testing positive for COVID, and we'll have more coverage on Bama Insider, and we'll keep you posted. If there's anything that changes, going forward with the game, we'll definitely bring it right to you right here on Bama Insider. So thank you very much for joining me. Be good people, take care of each other, and thank you very much for joining me tonight on Bama Insider. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, this is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com signing off. Thank you very much, everyone.